Hey there chess enjoyers, today we'll together continue to explore the exciting chess world, or to be more specific, I was asked some time ago in the comment section by whether I can create a brand new video about the Geet Opening. Of course I can, and therefore I will show and explain you in this video the Geet Opening, also called the Dunst Opening, the Baltic Opening, the Romanian Opening, the Queen's Knight Opening, and so on and so on. So how you can see and hear, this opening has really many names, but it is mainly called the Geet Opening or also the Dunst Opening. But the main aspect is that it starts with the move Knight c3, on which Black in most of the cases with his main response answers with d5. The intention behind this pretty interesting move is that Black is ready to instantly chase White's knight here on c3 by possibly moving on the following move on d4 like this and attacking the knight. But of course there are also other moves instead of pawn d5 which Black can play. And there are exactly three other main lines, or also a bit sidelines that aren't that main as d5, that you can play, which I will show you later in this video. So in this position right now on the chessboard, in the main line of the Geet Opening, if White wants to prevent his opponent from moving on d4 on the following move, he can just play it by himself. And after knight f6, they have many different options, as for example bishop to f4, bishop to g5, and so on and so on. Pretty common moves of the well-known Queen's Pawn game. But of course, White has other options instead of just playing pawn d4. In this position, they can also answer with knight f3, and on the possible d4 attack and chase at our c3 knight, we can escape like this on e4 without any problems. But definitely White's most common response to d5 is to just play pawn e4. Entering a pretty Scandinavian looking position where Black can transpose into different openings by just playing different moves. For example, they can transpose into the French defense by playing pawn e6. They can also enter the famous Caro-Kann defense by playing pawn c6, or they can also enter an interesting variation of the Alekhine defense by playing knight f6. But now let's get to the other three possible answers from Black, instead of just playing pawn d5 like this, how I've just shown you with the main response and main line of the Geet Opening. In this position, Black can also continue the game and answer on White's first main move by playing pawn c5, knight f6, or also the third option, pawn e5. But let's at first take a look at pawn c5, a move often played by devotees of the famous and interesting Sicilian defense. In most of the cases in this position, White will continue by developing their second knight on f3 like this, leaving again their opponent with many options. One possible and pretty interesting line can appear after knight f6, pawn d4, pawn from c5 captures on d4, knight obviously captures back like this, followed by pawn d5 by Black, seizing the center of the chessboard here. Let's now take a look at the move knight f6 as a response to the Geet Opening by Black. This variation is highly recommended by an American chess grandmaster, Larry Kaufman, intending to afterwards meet pawn e4 with either the parallel and symmetrical move pawn e5 or also pawn d5, being considered one of the most unpleasant replies to the Geet Opening for White, because Black keeps all options open here for following development. For example, they can choose between a central development or also an Indian setup in their game by playing moves like pawn g6, followed by the fianchetto of their king's bishop from f8 like this on g7 of course. But still, among the many possible White answers, none of them really seems to stand out against Black's setup here. And now let's continue with talking about the fourth and already the last answer on the key, or also called the main move of the Dunst Opening, which is pawn e5 by black. So this natural move is probably playable, but still it has a slight inaccuracy and probably is really very tiny disadvantage for black, as white maintains an advantage in basically every single line of it. It is also particularly dangerous for black if the player plays the black chess pieces, doesn't know exactly what he's doing and doesn't know the lines, because there are numerous traps and tactics which black must avoid. So in one of the main lines, white can continue the game with knight f3 attacking the black pawn on e5. Black just defends the now attack pawn by playing knight c6, on which his opponent, so the player plays the white chess pieces, continues the game with pawn d4. Black captures the pawn like this, white captures back the pawn with his knight from f3, on which black plays and develops his second knight on f6 like this, and white has the option to continue the game with bishop g5, pinning the black knight on f6 to his own queen here on d8. So this was an audio of this video, which I have shown you the main line of the Geet Opening and also 3 other pretty popular and often played sidelines of it. I really hope that you liked this video. If you liked it, feel free to subscribe to this YouTube channel, leave a like, activate the announcement bell so you won't miss any more videos, and write down there in the comments about which other chess topics and chess themes you want to have a brand new video on this channel, SchachRomatt. Till next time, bye!